Welcome back, gays, schools, and everyone in between to our YouTube channel, The Horror Bandwagon. Hi, my name is Sergio.
And my name is Cody.
And we are boys for horror analysis,
Criticism,
and spooky,
and sometimes kooky
entertainment. And we just got back from an early screening of The Black Phone. We were super lucky that Universal Screenings happened to have this, and we snatched our tickets to go see it because this was a very much of an anticipated movie for me. One of the top. As you guys know from previous videos, I put this at a rating of like 10 out of 10 for me. And I think you gave it a 6.
Yeah, not because I thought it was going to be bad, just because I wasn't really sure what to expect.
Yeah, but this is going to be our official spoiler-free review of the movie.
But before we get into it, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and click that notification bell so you get notified every time we post a new video. And if you want to support the channel even more, you can go over to our Patreon at patreon.com/thehorrorbandwagon.
Absolutely. All right, guys, let's get into it. So, The Black Phone is a movie directed by Scott Derrickson. It stars Ethan Hawke, Madeline McGraw, Mason Thomas, James Ransone, Jeremy Davis, and E. Roger Mitchell, and is based off a novel, or like I think a short novel by Joe Hill. Do you know who Joe Hill is?
I do not.
He is the son of Stephen King.
Ah.
I know. I haven't read any of his books, to be honest, but I do plan on, because it seems like he's in the realm of his father, you know? So I very much dig that. And hey, we might have a whole decade full of film adaptations for Joe Hill, just like Stephen King. Stephen King's had decades of films made out of his books. Now, do you know about Scott Derrickson?
I don't think so.
So Scott Derrickson actually is the director of Sinister, which is a reaction we just did, and we very much actually enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
We gave it a good rating. So I knew that going into this movie. So overall, did you feel like that was the vibe that you were getting from? Like, you see the connection?
Yeah. Now knowing who the director was, I can definitely see similarities in the way that the movies were constructed.
I think so too. There is one part, and I don't think this is a spoiler at all, but if you see on the wall, there's like a crack like right across, and at one point the kid that's in the room walks like across from it, which is very similar to the poster of Sinister, which I'll post here. But that is not all. He is mostly known for horror movies, but he recently did Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Yeah, the original one. He directed it, and I believe he executive produced Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. Now you guys know all that information. Let's talk about the movie, because that's what you're here for. Let's talk about our pros. What are our pros, Cody?
So I'll start with jump scares, because this is a horror movie. It's got to have jump scares. We all know this going into it. I think the jump scares were done really well. There were some. They got both of us.
Oh, they got the whole crowd that we were in. Actually, that's one thing that we were spoiled of. I hope that when you go see this movie that you have a really good active crowd, because that's what made this movie, and maybe we need to see it in a quiet room just by ourselves and see if we have the same reaction.
Yeah.
But the jump scares that were in this movie got the whole theater, and they were all laughing about it and loving it.
Yeah. So, and if you've watched this channel for a while, you know that I am not a fan of jump scares, but this movie did it really well, because the jump scares were timed in a way that you didn't see them coming, so they were effective, but they also weren't over the top.
Yeah.
You had like a good amount of time in between jump scares. They were placed logically, and the movie just didn't go overboard with them. So I really appreciate that. It just kind of was an extra thing to like amp up the scariness of this movie.
I do have to agree with you on that. That was part of my pros list, is the jump scares. I was afraid that it was just going to be just cheap jump scares here and there, because sometimes Blumhouse Films has those films with cheap jump scares, but it was really smart the way that it went about it. It kind of like told you the story at first and was like kind of giving you a little bit of a groove, and it doesn't give you the first jump scare until like way later on in the movie. And then when it happened, I was not expecting it, which is like good. I really like that.
Another thing that I really appreciated about the movie, and I think is a definite pro, is that lately we have seen a lot of trailers that we watch the trailer and we're pretty sure that just spoiled a bunch of stuff in the movie.
Yes.
And this trailer, and you also then have trailers that are like, we go to the movie, we're like, what happened to all this other stuff?
None of this happened. Yeah.
And this was really well done because the trailer gave you, I think it was pretty spot on in terms of like, you're going to go to the movie and get the movie you think you're getting, but it also kept a lot of like pretty big stuff out that adds to the movie when you're there. So it's not that you're going in and this is like, oh, I'm just going to get exactly what this trailer is showing us. You're going to see some other stuff that wasn't in the trailer that really makes this movie better and heightens it, but it's still the story that you go in expecting. So, if you like the trailer and you think you're going to like the movie from the trailer, you're definitely going to like the movie.
If you saw our reaction to the second trailer, I was very critical of it. I was very much like, they gave away the whole movie. Why did they do that? But honestly, I couldn't be more wrong. I ate my words because it didn't affect me. I didn't come out of that being like, all right, I already saw all of that, because I feel like with this movie, there is an emotional connection that you have. The script itself is really good. I think the content that we're given throughout everything is so good. And it's kind of like, I knew the overall plot line of this movie, but there was just so much more that they gave us, even if we saw snippets of things in the trailer. It didn't even like, it expanded on it while you watch the movie. Yeah.
And you touched on another thing that's on my list of pros, which is this movie got me emotional.
Yeah.
Like there are some really poignant scenes. It does a really good job of getting you invested in the characters too, which many horror movies lately don't do the best job of, but this one really, like, you're connected from the characters almost from the very beginning.
Yeah, that is completely correct. I wasn't expecting to have this emotional connection to the movie. I did tear up by the end, and so I was just like, wow. I mean, if you think of what this movie is about and what it has to do with, it could be much like, it could be a bummer. It could be like, okay, but there is a lot of good like comedy, like you're really getting to know the kids and the main characters and their story, and you really see like an arc for pretty much all the characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like every character has an arc, and I really appreciate that. They took time for us to get to know them, and I really appreciate that.
And then I think the last thing that I would say is that the pacing of this movie was really good. There weren't really any points where I felt like we were like just like being pulled along by the movie, and it didn't also seem to be going too fast. It was like just that right thing where we were getting through the story, where we were getting to know the characters, the plot was progressing in a way that felt normal. And I really appreciated that.
Well, see, this is what I'm going to say, and I'm going to be a little bit realistic. It is a little bit of a slow burn of a movie at first, but it does pick up, like in places, like it's not, all the way until like the very finale where there's this climax happens. No, a lot of stuff happens throughout, but maybe the first 30 minutes is a little bit of a slow burn. They are kind of just solidifying the characters at first, and that's important. You do want to have that connection, which I really appreciate. But I know that, for some people, they might not appreciate that. They really want more of the horror just up front. And this is more of like, you have to sense the atmosphere you're in. So even though I appreciate that, I think maybe I want to say maybe 80% or 90% of people are going to love that. And maybe there's going to be a small amount of people who are just like, nah, not for me, which is fair. My standout person, now I think all the performances were done so well.
Yeah.
But one person I do think that I need to give just like an honorable mention is Madeline McGraw.
Definitely.
The sister in this movie. So oh my God, she's such a good actress. She's super funny. Oh my God, the whole crowd was cracking up. And also she is freaking like rock star. Like she is badass in this movie. Like she takes no shit. But she also has a lot of heart to her. Like this actress was able to portray one being like really, not taking any shit from anybody, but also like being sensitive and being able to create this character that even though there's a lot of other stuff going on, we're still connected to that character too.
Yeah.
And we want her to succeed. And also she like during the most emotional parts of the movie, she really gave us that. And honestly, like if you need to get anything out from this movie is hoping that she gets a lot more roles from here on out because she's so good.
Yeah, I totally agree. She was definitely a standout of the film.
And another standout, of course, we have to say it, Ethan Hawke. Oh boy, Ethan Hawke. I mean, I'm not used to seeing Ethan Hawke as a villain. Maybe he's had a lot of other roles where he has shown his villainous side, but I always found him as a leading man, as the romantic comedy partner, and also like maybe like a horror lead that you're always connected with, that you want them to survive, right? In this one, he plays a creepy, evil dude, but for some reason, there are points where you think he's charming a little bit. Like you kind of like, he's funny. He's, he's quirky. But he's also like, once you have that quirkiness to him, he spins it really slowly, and he was very smart with his acting choices.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I think one of the cons that we were trying to throw together for this movie, so we were balancing it out a little bit. And we were just like fawning over.
We're just like, okay, what's something bad?
One of the things that we discussed was that we didn't get as much time with Ethan Hawke as maybe we would have liked.
Yeah.
And I don't know that that's necessarily a bad thing, because what you get from him, he's delivering really strongly.
Yeah.
And we know this going in from the trailer and from the poster, that he is wearing a mask for a lot of this movie.
Yeah.
And even behind a mask, you can just feel his acting. Like you don't need to see his face to know what he's giving you. And I think that's just a testament to how good of an actor he is, and just how well he played this role.
And he really, like, that mask that he has is a character on its own. And I can only imagine the process that he had of putting it on, and kind of like he had to probably look in the mirror and see like what movements really portray what I'm trying to say with the mask on. There's a lot of different renditions of the mask. I don't want to go into specifics, but there is a lot of different variations of it. You can really twist this mask into like different parts, and this is going to be a costume for Halloween.
For sure.
This is gonna come out. This is gonna be the Black Phone mask. I think his name is the Grabber in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah. So, because he kidnaps children, which is also like the bummy side of like, if you're going to portray this guy for Halloween. But I mean, also everybody dresses up as Freddy every year. So
it's true.
But as Cody said, I personally did wish to see more of Ethan Hawke and this character throughout the movie. But I think it's super smart. Like, if you think of, again, we're going to mention Freddy because we haven't mentioned Freddy enough on this channel. But like Freddy from A Nightmare on Elm Street, you don't really see a lot of him in the first movie. In the first movie, it's all about like, what is he doing? And then when you finally see him, it's like, whoa, what the hell? But he's in and out. It's more the story of the kids. And that's the same here. Yeah. I think if we got too much of it, I probably would have complained about that. So, but I think they were really smart about using him sporadically, and when he was there, he was very menacing. And that's another thing to him, is that it was kind of a risk for a popular actor like Ethan Hawke to portray this villain, because it kind of could take you out of it, being like, oh, we know this actor, he's been in a lot of things, seeing him is not going to be scary. But boy, did our crowd, when there's a scene where you see him just like sitting there, even just sitting there, it's like, oh my God, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
I also think the only con I can think of, and if you guys haven't guessed, we're smoothly transitioning into the con section. The only one that I could think of is that I probably, and this isn't for me because I really did enjoy it. I do think this is a horror thriller. But it's definitely, I think, more on the thriller side, and maybe people have an expectation that this is not going to be a slasher. Like, this is not a slasher. This is more of a like horror drama, if I'm being honest, or something like that. You know, of course, like everyone has different perspectives of what the genre means to them. So for me, I think this was a horror drama, and I think it portrayed that really well. And also, I really didn't think going in that it was going to be a slasher of any sort.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't really have any other cons, though. I think.
Well, did you find it scary?
I found it appropriately scary. I don't think that it was like. I don't think that it was super scary. In
the traditional sense of scary, like Sinister had like the overlaying horror, like.
Yeah.
You knew it was like really scary, but this one is a little bit, I want to say the words intense and suspenseful.
Yeah, because you knew in a lot of cases you kind of knew that something was coming.
Yeah,
and so there was that sort of like stomach dropping moments sometimes.
Yeah,
but it wasn't scary like some of the other movies we've covered are scary. We said before, the jump scares were good, but yeah, I think it was the appropriate level of scary for the story that it was telling.
Yeah, and with the essence of Ethan Hawke's character, the Grabber, he makes it creepy, but I also think like the situation itself is just like intense and scary, and you also have to think like these are kids, trying to like make it out in this horrifying situation. Yeah. So I think it's more creepy, intense. And that's why I said like thrilling, if I didn't say it before. It's like, I feel like it's definitely a thriller because you're on the edge of your seat trying to make sure like all these things don't happen or do happen, as much as I'm trying to be vague here without spoiling anything. But at the end of the day, I think this movie had a lot of heart. You are emotionally connected to the characters. It takes its time setting up the story. Like, it's not going to be off the bat like heart-pounding, horror movie from the beginning. But it does take its time, and I think, as long as you're down for the ride, I think you're going to definitely get a good outcome, at least for us.
Yeah.
For us, we ended that movie, and we were like, wow. And I really hope that you get a really fun audience when you watch it, because the interactiveness with... does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, let's go with it. With the story and the audience was so good when we saw it. Like we were the movie theater that was yelling at the screen at the characters to be like, don't do this, why are you doing that? So it's like and if I feel like a movie is successful is that by the end of the movie you're cheering for a certain character.
Yeah.
Then I think you've made a successful movie. So let's go to ratings. What is your rating, Cody? Out of 10. We rate things out of 10 because we are very undecisive, and out of 5 is going to be really hard.
I kind of want to give this movie a 10. I loved this movie, and I can't think of a lot of negative things to say about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10. Go see this movie.
This is surprising, y'all, because again, if you watched our other video where we predicted what we would think of the movie, Cody gave it a low score. He didn't budge from that much. And now it's a 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. That's got to say something. But also, he's the scaredy cat, so things are easy on his end. I can't help it either. I have to give it a 10 out of 10. I really liked it, and I don't want to hype it up as much so that way you guys don't, get disappointed when you see it. I really just want you to have the story take over, because that's what happened to us, is that we just let the story take place, and we followed it, and it was great. Like it's also kind of like a mystery at the same time.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, but I urge everybody, go see this movie. This is it's based off a book, but it is a new thing. It's not something from it's not a reboot, it's not a requel, it's not a sequel, it's whatever. This is an original movie, and we should get more of these and get more people like Joe Hill, Scott Derrickson on board to make more horror movies like this.
Definitely.
So go see it. 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10. And hopefully we don't hype it too much and you guys enjoy it too. But that is going to be it for us. Make sure to like, subscribe, and press the notification bell. And if you would like to support us in any way, go over to Patreon. We're going to upload more videos over there. We're just starting, so hopefully you guys can stick around as we get more things on that page. But with that being said, we have been your source for horror analysis,
criticism,
and spooky
and sometimes kooky
entertainment.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.